Hey guys, it's HarryWilmington here. So this isn't a normal stream day, but I'm home and I'm making breakfast and I'm hungry and I wanted to talk about stuff while I'm cooking. So hey, if you're watching, thanks for watching. So I'll show you what I'm making. So I got these pork vegetable dumplings that I'm going to be making because I just really like them, and oatmeal. So I don't know why this is the meal I'm having, but I'm having oatmeal and chicken dumplings for breakfast. Anyway, so my normal routine when I get up in the morning is after I shower and do all other good stuff, is I watch videos. So I typically don't try to start my workday until like 9 o'clock. And so what I do before then is I'll catch up on various things, watch some shows, maybe play some video games, and I'll also watch content because, as I tell you guys all the time, even though I am giving you guys advice, I'm also a student of the dating game. And so I'm watching other various videos by other content creators, both male and female, because I think both genders have a lot to add to the conversation. I know a lot of guys think that, women don't give good advice and blah, blah, blah. And I have equally found that there are some men out there that also don't give good advice. So you really have to kind of learn who to listen to, what gels with you, and then figure out of your own accord based on you going out there and practicing things, whose advice is actually beneficial. And that's what I used to do. I used to read a bunch of different advice and then go out into the world, practice some stuff. And then based on doing that, I could say, okay, this person's full of crap and this person actually knows what they're talking about. So now I'm going to put some of these dumplings into the pan because these ones are great. These are I think like Ralph's. They're really, really good. So anyway, so that's what I do with my morning routine is I get up and I start watching other people's content for a little bit. And I tend to watch and read some interesting things. So one of the more fascinating ones that I actually saw this morning was there is a woman coach. I think her name is Fareen or something like that, Fareen Ash. I think that's correct. And in her video, she's a woman that gives advice to women on dating. And the video that she had this morning was talking about why it is that men like women that are mysterious. Now, I'm going to go over that video at some point, probably next week's official show, because I've had this message sent to me before where a guy said, hey, I noticed that women are giving advice to women, telling them to do the same things that you as a guy are telling men to do. And one of the things that I oftentimes tell men is that in order to attract women, it's going to be better off if you are a bit mysterious and not giving away everything about your feelings and, what you think of the woman and how the date went and all this other stuff, because it can be too much too soon. And so what this woman was doing, I'm looking for cinnamon. What this woman was doing was telling women that in order to attract a man, hold on a second here. In order to attract a man, it was better for her to be mysterious because it would actually end up attracting men a lot more. Now, as a guy, when I first heard this, I was initially admittedly triggered by it because I was kind of like, that's not true. When women are mysterious, guys get frustrated and I get frustrated and yada, yada, yada. So whenever you guys hear advice, this is what I advise you to do, is take the advice, understand you're going to have a reaction. And then you have to pause and study and say, but wait a minute, if I get rid of my feelings and I analyze what this person is saying, could I see any part of what they're saying being true? So this woman said to other women, they need to be more mysterious because when they're mysterious, then men will think more about them and want to be more attracted to them as a result. And so I had to look back at my own personal dating life and see, is that an actual thing? And if I'm being completely honest with myself, if I look back at the times when I was the most frustrated with women, it was with women who I thought I had a handle on. I had one or two good dates and I automatically started liking them. And then when I would try to reach out to them, they wouldn't respond back right away. When I would try to ask them for a date, they would hold off for a few days before actually making that date. And so what they were doing in essence was pulling back. They were being a bit mysterious. They weren't being readily available right away. And that caused me to think about them more, to wonder where they were at. Why couldn't they just say yes to a date right away? Why were they playing with my emotions? And in hindsight, that frustration was actually my feelings being hurt because I was starting to like them a lot more. So it's interesting because I preach to guys that you guys need to be mysterious, be more laid back, be a bit more patient. And here's a woman coach that's telling women to do the same thing in order to build up our interest. Now, you might hear that and think to yourself, okay, so wait, if both parties are being mysterious, right, and both parties are holding back, then how is it that anybody is going to be getting with anybody, given that nobody's telling the other person that there's an interest there? And this is where you as a guy have to recognize that when certain things are happening during the dating phase and the woman's acting a certain way and giving you certain responses, your body's going to naturally have certain responses and feelings. And one of those things is anxiousness. And I talk about here all the time about how when you're making when you're being patient when you're applying patience to your dating game, the woman on the other end is going to feel things like anxiety, and she's going to be unsure of herself because she doesn't know how you feel about her based on where you're at because you're not contacting her all the time. But no, I try to stress none of these things are bad things. Like, because what women will do is this. Let's say most decent women are pretty much taught that, hey, they can't be too forward. Like, their emotions for you will give up the store and they might start reaching out a bit more. But most women are generally taught, like, hey, let the man be the man, let him approach, yada, yada, yada. So what they'll do is they will, go on a date with you, have a good time. And then after a couple of days, if you're being patient and not trying to reach out to her so much, she might start feeling anxious or nervous or not know what's going on. But what women will do is they'll go to their friends or close girl family members and start talking, because her being able to talk this out is a way for her to relieve some of that stress. So she'll talk to her girlfriends about, hey, I like this guy. I just wanted to date with him. We had a good time on the date, and now he's not calling me back, but I really do like him. I don't know if he's playing games or not or what's going on. And they'll sit there and have a conversation with their girlfriends or close family members about you and how you're acting and all this other stuff. And by doing that, it's important to know that when you're being patient, she's going to be doing that stuff as a means to get out from her anxiety. So what you're not supposed to do is rush in and assure her, oh, I want you to know for sure that I really like you, and there's no reason for you to worry about this and yada, 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 right? So, but all I'd say is that she has a source to go to relieve some of that nervousness, have people talk her off the ledge and say, hey, maybe he's busy, or he'll contact you back, or if he's a really good guy, maybe he's going on other dates, and that's okay, whatever, right? Unfortunately, as guys, we don't typically have that same outlet. Like, most of us don't have guy friends we're going to go to and talk about, hey, so I want to date with this girl and now it's been like a couple of days and she hasn't reached back out to me and I'm anxious and nervous, blah, 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 because we're trying to hold up the front of we're men and we just automatically know what we're doing. And we don't want anybody to know that we're kind of nervous and anxious about this new girl that just came into our life or that we're trying to get into our lives, right? So if we don't have an outlet to go to talk to somebody else about our anxiety and about our frustrations, where do we go? And unfortunately, the answer that most men decide to use is, I'm going to go back to the woman that I'm trying to attract and tell her all about how I wish she would reach out more and how anxious and nervous I felt when she wasn't reaching out to me all of a sudden. And then we don't understand why, when we do that the women start to head for the hills. Because again, if we're going off the theory that both men and women are attracted to a person more so when there's a bit of mystery and unsureness there, the women have an outlet to get that out, so they're not showing it directly to you. But unfortunately for us men, we don't have that outlet. So if she goes away for a couple of days and we don't hear from her, rather than talking to our guy friends, we want to talk to her about that to try to get her on board, because we want to relieve our anxiousness. And we think that by telling her what's in our heads, that she's going to be the one to relieve our anxiety. But women don't want that responsibility. Women don't want the responsibility of having to try to assure you that everything's okay, because you're supposed to be the confident guy. You're supposed to be the leader. You're supposed to be the one that she's looking up to. Of the two of you, you're supposed to be the one that's less nervous and understands what you're doing during the process of dating. So when you come to her and try to relieve all this anxiety because she's pulled away a bit or she's being a bit mysterious, that's where you lose her. And so this is why, as a man, for one, you need to get a good circle of other dudes you can talk to when you're having dating anxiety and issues, because they're going to be better to go to talk this stuff about out than her. You try to go to this new girl that you just met and lay the responsibility on her to get rid of your anxiousness is going to cause her to pull away. All right. But the second thing is that you need to start understanding how the dating process actually works and to understand the feelings that you're going to have when certain things happen. So, for example, back in my early dating days, right? I would never wait 4 or 5 days between dates to call a girl because I'm thinking the whole time, I'm anxious and I'm nervous. And does she like me? And I'm not sure what's going on. And so I'd want to call her back right away. I'd want to text her all the time. I'd want to be constantly in contact with her because if that went away, I wouldn't know what's going on and I'd be anxious. Then we fast forward to now where it's like, I legitimately, the relationships that I've gotten into, right? It all happened because, for a variety of reasons. But one of the crucial things was this, that first date, take her out, show her a great time. And then I would have in my head, it is perfectly okay to contact her in 4 days. In 4 days' time, she's not going to lose interest. And you have to understand that that's going to be fine. She actually needs that time for you to pull away so she can feel a little bit of anxiousness and see you as a bit of a mystery and start to wonder about you and talk to her girlfriends about you. And she needs to do all of that as part of her process of getting to like you. And so because I had that in my head, I started practicing that. Now, when I first started practicing that, I was nervous as heck. I didn't think it was going to work. I was still listening to all these other people that were saying, no, it's playing games if you wait 4 or 5 days to call a girl between dates. But in my experience, when I wasn't waiting, I wasn't getting the girls back, or they'd be less excited about the next date I tried to ask them on because I was constantly in front of their face. So I said, you know what? I'm already losing. So if I wait 4 or 5 days to call women and I lose out, the worst case scenario is I'm right back where I started. But the best case scenario could be that I learn that I don't have to be there all the time. My anxiety goes away. She's able to build up a decent attraction to me because I am being mysterious and not being there all the time. And as a result of that, I get more dates, more hookups, and eventually into more relationships. And so as I practiced that, that's exactly what happened. So it started with, once I did that, I started to recognize, okay, so just because I, as a guy, am feeling anxious or nervous, or she's not playing games, but she's like pulling away from me every so often, which usually is a signal, by the way, that you're doing too much. If a woman's pulling away from you during the dating process, it means of the two of you, you're doing too much. But when they would do that, I would say, okay, what am I feeling right now? She's pulling away. She's not answering a text right away. I'm feeling like maybe I'm losing a bit of her attraction, or that I'm losing a grip on her, or that she's suddenly not liking me as much. Okay, but is that actually happening? If you just pull back a bit and be a bit patient, will you get a different outcome? You know, what's interesting is that when I'm in relationships now, I might have a woman that's like there all the time for me and will like answer all my texts, answer all my calls. But then there might be that one day where they're in a meeting for something and I text and they don't text back right away. And to this day, I still have that initial feeling of like, oh crap, like she didn't text me back right away. Or it's been a couple of hours, like what's going on while I'm in a relationship. And I'll have that feeling and then think, wait. The overwhelming evidence indicates that she definitely likes me and she's not losing attraction for me. And we just had a bomb hookup a couple of days ago. So it could just be she's busy. Let's just wait a bit. And then I wait a bit and then I get a call. Hey, I was in a meeting. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, but you have to practice that, because if you're not in the practice of that, then any single time a woman suddenly goes from like she's responding all the time to then she's not, you're going to freak out. And you're going to want to reach out to her because our bodies and our egos are designed to make sure that we always feel that everything's going good. And so when things are not going good, our body's first response is, I got to fix this so I feel good again. And so what most guys' response is when a woman is not texting them back right away or calling back right away or suddenly getting flaky, I got to go talk to her and let her know that she's doing this thing. So subconsciously, so I can feel better about myself. And so I can get back to not feeling so anxious and not being unaware. And like I said, being unaware and anxious is not always the worst thing. Like that lady said in the video, which I'll go over at some point in the future, like it can help to build attraction. It just does. Like we feel this frustration, but we're not recognizing that frustration comes from we're feeling a thing for this woman. And now we're not sure where she stands with us because she's doing a certain action and we want to fix it. And I try to tell you guys in the moment, it's not necessarily a thing that needs to be fixed. It can very well just be you're feeling a thing, but she has a right to sometimes not talk to you. She has a right to not always reach out. She has the right to hang out with other people and not be on her phone all the time trying to talk to you. But we get in our heads about that and get butthurt. So I would say I found that very interesting, the video I saw this morning of that lady talking about how men also fall for mystery. Now, again, like I said, women handle it much better. So what you got to do as a guy is just recognize the feeling you're going to get when she's pulling away a bit or being a bit mysterious and say, I can't let that rattle the program that I'm on. I tell you guys, it takes a woman 2 to 3 months to solidify her feelings. You can go to the website. I have a whole litany list of like the A through Z's of what you need to do during the dating phase to make sure that she eventually wants to come to you and ask you to be her boyfriend, right? But things like that will rattle you, and then you'll go from like, okay, I'm going to be a guy that's going to follow the plan to a T. I'm going to ask her out once a week, and I'm going to see this. I'm not going to bring this up. And then it'll be that 1 or 2 times where she doesn't text you back right away. And all of a sudden you go from being that cool, calm, collected guy to, oh my God, what's going on? And that takes you out of the game. And so even at times where you think the pathway towards getting to a girlfriend isn't working, trust me, it's still working, because women are going to go ebb and flow. They're going to go from, I want to talk to this guy all the time to, I might just need a day. I might just need a day to myself. Hey, I'm an introvert. We should understand there's going to be times when the women that we like, that have high interest in us, are still going to want time to themselves and not have to see us all the time. And I think we lose out on that because even as an introvert, once you start liking a person, it's like anybody that's in your inner circle kind of gets like the more attentive introvert version of you. Like, you're not typically that guy that wants to be around a lot of people or have people around you all the time. When it's a girl that you like, you will make an exception. I've told plenty of girls that I dated, hey, you know what? When I'm with you, I feel like I'm still getting my alone time, which is the best compliment I can give, because it's saying the feeling of joy that I get being by myself is equal to the feeling that I have when you're around, because you're comfortable and you make me happy that you're around. And therefore I can sacrifice a bit of my alone time when you're here. But sometimes introverts are one that sacrifice all their alone time because they think that they need to do that or else the woman's going to get mad. And I have found women actually appreciate dudes that understand that they also need their alone time. So the fact that they're with a guy that's going to now give them that time because they need it themselves is actually usually a relief to women, because most women date guys that are like, now that we're dating, we need to see each other all the time. And if I don't see you, I got hurt feelings and I don't want you to be mysterious and I don't want to feel anxious and whatever. And it's part of the game. Like, you have to learn to be comfortable with not knowing at all times and being anxious at times. The thing you don't want to do is show the girl that you're with or trying to get with that you're anxious, because that comes off to them as needy, as desperate, as always needing her around. And that causes her to feel forced into having to date you. So just wanted to get that off my chest, because I've been thinking about that since I saw the video this morning. So I have comments, at least in the chat section here. So I'm gonna get to those real quick. Let me get my oatmeal, my delicious oatmeal, and this is a weird meal, guys. It's oatmeal and chicken and dumplings, because or pork and vegetable dumplings, because I just like dumplings, And it's really nice sauce. Sauce don't have this stuff. I'm gonna go with. Oh, this is good stuff. It's mild. This mild sauce here. This stuff is amazing. If you can get it in the store, it goes great with dumplings. So I'm gonna get into this guy's comment that he left. So he says in his comments, I went on a few dates with this girl a month or so back. Thought we had a great time. Hook her up. I think he means they hooked up. So if she was a hooker, let me know. But anyway, hooked up. Got hit with the I'm not interested. Stop contacting her. About a month later, I get a text at 2 a.m. She was lost and alone downtown, apparently. I was already asleep. She told me I'm the only man she knew she could call. Not good enough to spend time with, but good enough to call when she's in a pinch. I was angry at only being called when she needed something. She sends me random texts about once every 3 weeks. I barely engage. Ooh, okay. So I'm going to move this stuff over here in a second. Because there's lots of that in that. So let me just move some of my stuff real quick. All right. All righty. Oh, got my sauce, and my sauce. Spoiler, guys, I like applesauce because as a kid, I couldn't have milk because I'm lactose intolerant. So I put applesauce in everything in lieu of milk. It's just how I was raised. Thank you, Mom, for that. And now I eat applesauce with almost everything, including hot dogs. So in terms of this guy's situation, right? So let's back up a bit, right? So they went on a few dates for like a month or so, and then she says, I'm not interested, and stop contacting. So I'll say this based on my personal history and the guys that I've coached, what that indicates to me is that it wasn't that you were going on a few dates. There's a good chance you were probably contacting her either a lot or more than she was used to. Also, like these kind of descriptions don't give me a full story because I don't know what conversations this guy was having on these dates, what they were talking about, if he started talking about things like feelings or future speak or anything like that. So, because and I say this because typically I find that when women start pulling away, it's usually due to a variety of reasons. And a lot of that has to do with the things that the guy is talking about, the things that the guy is requesting of her or potentially begging for, like if he was, trying to push her for sex or she felt obligated to or whatever. Like, I don't know any of that kind of stuff. But so he says later on, he was probably doing too much contacting. Most guys do. Like, most guys have it in their head. That's what I talked about earlier about the whole mystery thing is that we, at the point where we start, and this is proof that it works, though, because she was saying that, mystery works on guys. And again, as frustrated as we want to be about that, and because guys want to say, I already know the reaction. I know the reaction guys want to give when a woman is saying, but men like mystery too. The response is, no, we don't. We want things told to us up front. We want direct communication, blah, blah, blah. But why do we want that? We want that from girls that we like because we like them, because we're building interest. And so the thought of that interest suddenly going away, we don't know how to handle it. So a woman, we go from like contacting women every day to she suddenly goes a whole day without talking to us. We think it's the end of the world. And I try to stress to you guys that in a relationship, right? Like, okay, this is why I tell you guys that in the grand scheme of things, not contacting her between dates isn't a big deal. And waiting 2 to 3 months to get into a relationship isn't a big deal. It's because if you're looking at a long-term relationship that's going to last 30 or 40 years with a person, right? 2 to 3 months is a drop in the bucket. Like, if you have to be patient for 2 to 3 months while you're building while you're helping her build attraction to you, well, that pays off dividends if you end up in a relationship that lasts 20, 30, 40 years. I think back to when my mom and my dad were dating. Like, I clearly wasn't there for that, but I've heard stories. But my mom was the one that kissed him first. Like, it was their 4th date and she kissed him. And she said the reason she kissed him was because she knew that he potentially had another date lined up. So my dad was taking his sweet, precious time, and she was like, oh, crap, I might have competition. And then they were married for 13 years until he died. Rest in peace, Dad. So I stress that, we think as guys, we got to be constantly going to them and doing for them and communicating with them, but they're the ones that chase us. Like, again, I get pushback on that sometimes from women because I say if she's chasing you, she can't be replacing you. But most guys don't get to that stage because they're so busy doing the chasing, they don't take a pause to see, hey, if I just wait 2 or 3 or 4 days to contact her, will she come towards me? If I only ask her out once a week, will she be the one to suggest other dates? Like, you need to set up scenarios where she's going to be able to come to you. But if you're contacting her nonstop, she doesn't ever get to build up that feeling of, oh, I want to reach out to him. And women need to build that feeling up in order to have more attraction for you. So if you're not doing that, then what you're doing is you're constantly reaching out, and you're also going to be cutting into time that she needs to think about you. Think about this, right? If you reach out a lot, there's probably been a point in time where she was with her girlfriends and talking about you. Like, hey, I'll give you a true story, right? Many years ago, I was an Uber driver. And I remember I picked up these 2 girls and a guy from like a party, like a club party, right? And so I'm driving. So it's one of those things where I'm dropping him off first and then dropping the girls off someplace else. Fine. So they're talking in the car with the guy, and they're being all like they're flirting like the heck out of each other. Hey, man, get your number. Blah, 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 blah. So then I drop the guy off, right? The guy leaves, and now I just have the 2 girls in the car. So as I'm driving, the 2 girls are talking about the guy. Oh my God, he was so cute. Yeah, I wonder what his story is, because blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I just met him at this party and we were, having a good time together, and I was dancing up on him and he was feeling on me. It was feeling really great and blah, blah, blah. And oh my God, and in the middle of that, the guy texts, hey, beautiful, I got home safe, had a great time meeting you, blah, 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 blah. And I could feel the energy in my car go down, because all of a sudden it went from that to where she was like, oh, he's already texted me. Oh man, that's so great. Well, yeah, I mean, but this, and then you just hear her talk, and she would suddenly start to talk less and less about the guy. And then he texted her again. And then she was like, oh my God, he's texting so much. Like, wow, I just met him. He just left like 5 minutes ago. He's already blah, blah. And I knew at that point, this guy did not stand a chance because he just couldn't give her the time. She wanted that time in the car on the way home to be able to talk about him and to project about how great of a guy he could potentially be and about, oh my God, I can't wait till he contacts me. I wonder if that's going to be like. When's he going to contact me? Is he going to take me out? Like, what's going to happen beyond this? Like, we as guys don't understand this. We think, I want to know all that stuff right away. Women take joy in just talking about that stuff and trying to figure it out. When you don't give women the time to try to figure you out and to try to do these activities that are going to make them develop a need for you and an anxiousness for you and a desire to want to contact you and see you, then you lose out. So yeah, if you're contacting her too much, then she's going to lose interest. And that is evident by the fact that she said that you got hit with the, I'm not interested, because you got to figure she's already going on dates with you. So now, on top of seeing you on dates, now she's also having to hear from you in between those dates. So she never gets a break from you. And I know guys don't want to hear that because our egos are like, but I'm so great. She should want me around all the time. Yes, she should want you around all the time when you're the boyfriend. And even then, you should only see her like 2 to 3 times a week as the boyfriend, because you still need that. She still needs time while you're in the relationship to miss you, to think about you, to anticipate seeing you. And I think the problem most guys have is they take away for women the anticipation aspect of the journey. Because as men, even though we do fall for mystery, we don't like anticipating things long term. We don't like not knowing things long term. And so that, for any guy that hasn't been in the practice of it, that 3 to 4 days between dates when I tell you guys to wait can be like torture. Because you're like, day 2, I didn't get time on a date. I want to hook up. Oh my God, I want to see her again. Which again, she's right. Mystery proof. It does work on guys, but you can't let that alter your ultimate plan. Once I made the decision to say, okay, you know what? Across the board, whether I have a good date or a bad date, or how much I think I like him after that first or second date, I'm always going to wait a minimum of 4 days between dates before I reach out. But I do that because that also builds in time for them to reach out. I remember I dated a girl one time. We had a good date, took her out. I said, okay, great. I put her on the 4-day program. It was like a day and a half. She reached out. Hey, so, I know I just saw you a couple of days ago, but I want to go to the beach. You want to go to the beach this next day? This was like, we had a date on a Friday, and now she's asking me for another date on a Sunday. And that's because I had in my head, I'm going to space out the time that I reach out. And I know guys get confused. So I say don't initiate. I don't say don't contact, because if she contacts you, you definitely want to reach out and say, hey, great to hear from you. And then try to set up another date for ideally in the future. But that's what you do. And so when you get overly excited and you start thinking, is this person, because we'll get on a date. We don't come across girls every day that want to actually go out with us. So at the point that you do, you're not in the practice of saying, and now I got to treat her like I treat everybody else. And what that means is that you're not in the habit of getting a girl and then waiting it out. Because in your whole life, you're thinking, I don't get this opportunity. And if I do the wrong thing, I'm going to lose her. So what we then do is say, okay, so that means I got to be on my P's and Q's. I got to contact her all the time. I'm not going to ever miss out on a message. I'm not going to wait before I text her back, because that's game playing. And I don't want to play games. And yet women don't respect it. Like, women want to envision their guy being a guy that is out doing his purpose and trying to chase money and trying to get himself to the next level. And she can't picture you being that guy if you're always available to talk to her. So what this means, again, is that even though it's going to feel like game playing to us, it's really taking a look at the other person's handbook and seeing what works for them. It's funny, under that video that I saw this morning, there was a woman that was saying like, oh my God, I can't, why is it that dating takes so much strategy? The reason that strategy for dating is important is because men and women interact differently amongst the sexes. Like how guys interact with guys and how women interact with women are 2 completely different systems. The problem that guys have is that we are now trying to connect with women and communicate with them in the same way that we will with a guy, hoping we're going to get the same results. So to a guy, you can be direct. You can say to your dude, hey man, that thing you did pissed me off for the day, stop that. Or you can say, hey, I can't come over today because I got things to do, and it is what it is, right? Women deal with stuff differently. And so when we try to be extra direct with them, because we don't want to play games, right? But we're being extra direct with them about certain things that it may be too early on to do that. So to this woman's point, like we feel anxious after 2 days of not contacting them. We want to contact them. Hey, so I just want you to know that you hurt my feelings. And when you didn't contact me right away, I felt some kind of way about it because I didn't know who you were with or what you were doing. So stop that. And we think saying that is going to work because if we do that to a guy, he'll know, oh, okay, my bad for messing with you. But for them, they're like, it's been 2 dates. I don't know him enough. I don't owe him anything. And he's already making demands of me. And he's showing that he's a little too needy and too emotional already. Now, I'm the woman. I'm supposed to be one that's more emotional. He's one that's being more emotional right now. And I'm not a fan of that. And so he loses out. So anyway, so that was the first part of this thing. He says he felt some kind of way because she said he was not interested. And so she stopped contacting. So here's the other thing too, right? So that happens. Then he says a month later, he gets a text saying she was lost and alone downtown and yada, yada, yada. And now this is where guy logic, analytical logic messes you up, right? Because we're oftentimes very much black and white thinkers. We think either something is or it isn't. And then once the thing's not a thing, then there's no way that would ever not be a thing again, right? So, hold on a second here. So we do all that. And then when they reach out, we think to ourselves, what's going on? Like, she already said she didn't like us. What the heck's going on? I'm not dealing with this chick anymore. It's a wrap. And that's where guys have it messed up, because this could have very well been an opportunity for you to actually like get with her. Think about how it's set up, right? She was alone downtown. She's lost. She wants you of all people to come connect with her. Like, all that is screaming, I want to try to connect with this guy, but I don't want to do it in a way that looks like it's overbearing because I did kind of like get rid of him. So now I got to come up with some kind of excuse to be able to actually get with him. And so hopefully if he's not with anybody right now, maybe I can reach out and try to make this happen, but I got to do it in a subtle way that allows me to not look like I'm just overtly trying to reach out to him, but that I'm still kind of interested and see what he says. So if this had been me in this scenario, for example, I hadn't seen her for a month. She reaches out, hey, blah, blah, I'm downtown this month. I would ask questions like, well, like, why are you downtown? What's going on? You just come out of a club? You just leaving your friend's house? You just downtown hanging out? Oh, well, I just looked out this place and I didn't have all this and that. At this point, I'd be like, you know what? I don't lose for going out there and seeing what's what. Because the worst case scenario is I pick her up, I take her back to her place, and I drop her off, and then that's that. But there's also other scenarios that could come up. So I could just happen to pick her up, and then she has a conversation in the car. Thanks for picking me up, blah, 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 blah. Hey, take me back to my place. Get there. Thanks for dropping me off. Hey, like, I know you might need a drink for the ride back home. Do you want to come in and get some water? Which is subtly saying, hey, come into my place. At that point, things could be starting to happen that lead to you having a really fun night. But if you're butthurt and stuck in your feelings about, but she a month ago got rid of me, and so I'm not going to blah, 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 then you miss out on potentially doing something great. Because the reality is some women out there aren't going to be so forward with them being interested in you. And so that means that when they present these scenarios, they might not make sense. I've had scenarios where it's like, I remember one time I was with somebody I worked with, like me, her, and this other girl going to hang out someplace. And then while she went in, my friend from the job went to go in and get something. And her girlfriend was like, hey, so just so you know, she's like interested in you. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, she kind of has a crush on you. I was like, I don't know what, okay, I didn't know that, right? So she comes back to the car, and then I drop her friend off, and now it's just her. And she was like, hey, so like, can we go back to your place and hang out? At this point, because the friend had told me the thing, I was like, oh, this is interesting, because she had never expressed wanted to be with her by myself before, right? So it's like, I was like, but because I had that little bit of knowledge, it was like, oh, okay. But what if I hadn't had that knowledge? Well, at this point, I would still be like, let's just see where this goes. And that's how most women take things. Like, most women aren't coming directly at you like, hey, I want to hook up with you. Most women are presenting themselves as like, I'm here, let's see where this goes. And they're expecting you as the guy to kind of lead where that's ideally going to go. If you don't know how to do those things, then you're going to be like this guy where you're like, I didn't understand. She was downtown. She was calling me at 3 a.m. She's calling you at 3 a.m. It is past 11 o'clock. Any calls you get from women past 11 o'clock, more often than not mean that they're not just trying to hang out. But if you don't know that, then you're going to just be stuck and not know what's going on. So, yeah. So you said, I really enjoyed spending time with her and was down pretty bad. She dismissed. I'll admit I was probably doing too much contacting. Makes sense given the girls that I don't contact very much hit me up the most. She says, I get overexcited with girls I really want, working on treating them all the same. And that's the thing, is that I know if you're a decent enough guy, you're thinking like you're dating a new girl, for example, right? You come up to her, you're dating her, you go on a couple dates with her, and now you're thinking, I want to be that good guy. So I don't want to mess this up by continuing to see other people on dating apps or not letting her know that she's the only person I'm seeing. And like I said, girls typically do their due diligence a lot better than guys do. So while you're thinking after 2 dates, I need to wife her up because she's going to feel some kind of way, she's still taking her 2 to 3 months to verify that you are actually a decent guy. And so if you are trying to rush things because you're thinking it's doing her a favor, I got news for you. That's not what's happening. What's happening is she's feeling overburdened. She's feeling like it's too much too soon. And that's why you end up losing out on these kind of girls after a month when they say, I'm not interested. Things are moving too fast. I think we should see other people. It's because you didn't pace the relationship or the way you were dating her in the right way. It is what it is. He says, not sure what to do when she's texting me out of the blue every few weeks. Well, here's the thing, right? If she's texting you, there is a possibility there that she's somewhat interested in seeing where you're going to take stuff. Because if a woman was just completely done with you, right? And we could, there are women out there that'll hit you up just because they want attention and they want to see if they still got you on by the strings and stuff like that. So those kind of women do exist. But more often than not, I have found that if it's been a few weeks and a woman's reaching out to you, like you haven't contacted her, one, the fact that you haven't contacted her means that she's able to see that you're not as desperate and needy for her attention as she anticipated, which for her is a good thing because that makes women feel threatened. When you're coming to contacting them all the time and trying to reach out all the time, it makes them feel like you're trying to make her your world because you have nothing else going on, and that freaks them out. So when you give her time, she's able to feel and see like, oh, he's not that guy. So at that point, when she reaches out, it can be some mundane stuff, right? Like, girls will reach out and just be like, hey, how you doing? Or they'll send you a meme of some random kind, right? And guys get that and think like, what the heck's going on? Like, well, am I getting this random text from this woman out of nowhere, like doesn't talk to me, just with a random cat thing, or just saying like, hey, great job on the thing, or congratulations at your job, this is that. Take heed, guys. Almost anytime a woman of her own accord is just reaching out to you randomly, and you're not in a predetermined friendship of some kind, more often than not, it usually means she's reaching out to see if there's any kind of interest on your part. And so when this happens, you as the guy have to know the moves you're supposed to be making in order to get her to back into your good graces. And it's not like when you reach out, you don't want to do the thing of like, oh my God, you're reaching out. This is so great. Let's get back together. You don't do that. But you do invite her to your place. You say, hey, great hearing from you. Why don't you come over to my place and we can watch some movies and I'll cook some dinner for us and we'll just catch up. Keep it very simple. You're not trying to take her out on a full date yet because, again, she left you. So if she's reaching out to you, she needs to prove to you that she actually wants to be around more besides just using you for your money and for dates. So she reaches out. Hey, great to hear from you. Hey, we'd love to catch up. Why don't you come by on Tuesday or Thursday? I'll make some dinner. We can chat. Keep it simple like that. Now, could more things than that happen when she comes over? Yes. But importantly enough, women know this. They're very good at passive language. So when you say, I remember in college, I missed out on a hookup one time because I legitimately, back in my virgin days, I had made a bunch of food and I had a movie I wanted to watch and I wanted somebody to come enjoy it because it was too much food for me to eat. And I hit up all these girls on campus like, hey, I got dinner and a movie at my place. Do you want to come over? And I didn't know at the time that dinner and a movie for most women was code for a guy saying, hey, come over so we can hook up. I didn't know this. I was still a virgin. So I had like 5 or 6 women that said they didn't want to come over. And I was like, but why? I have great food. And I just want to watch a movie. What's the big deal? And then there was one girl that was like, I can't make it because I'm studying for a test. Right? I said, cool, fine. 5 minutes later, hits me back. Oh, hey, so I can come over now. And I was like, how did she, in 5 minutes time, did she just finish studying? And in hindsight, what I imagine happened is she told her girlfriends that she was studying with, hey, this guy that I think is really cute, we've been friends for a while, he wants me to come over for dinner or movie. And they were probably like, girl, it's been how long since you broke up with somebody? You haven't had none since when? You need to get your butt over there. And then she came over. And I did nothing the entire time because I was still in the face of like, I'm not sure if she really likes me. I'm trying to be extra careful and apprehensive. I don't want to make the wrong move and ruin the potential friendship and yada, yada, yada. So I missed out. But again, she accepted the invite to come over for dinner and movie. So you have to know that you just set up things that are going to allow her to get back into your area. So you say, hey, come on over. I'll make dinner. We can chat. She comes over. Again, you don't have to assume that a hookup's going to happen. But if she's over there, things could happen. But this all depends on you having to know that when she's reaching out to you, that is her way of saying, I want to try this thing again. You don't get overbearing about it. You don't try to push any kind of agenda. You don't, if you get the hookup, you don't say, hey, now that we hooked up, are we back together? You don't push that. You wait until she comes to you and says, hey, so we've been hanging out for a while now. I really like it. And I know we were dating before and I was kind of like, I'm not interested, but I think I might be. So like, what are we? Let her be the one to bring up that kind of stuff. If you're bringing up being in a relationship, more often than not, you're not going to get it. At least in my experience, And you're welcome. This guy says, hello, my girlfriend Maria says I'm ugly and have severe crippling autism. How do I deal with this and tell her that's not nice? You dump her. Because a woman that is insulting you now, let me tell you guys something. Whatever a woman's doing in the beginning of a relationship is only going to get worse the longer it goes along. So if she's insulting you now, if she's taking little jabs at you, if she's like legitimately actually smacking or hitting you playfully right now, that only gets more so in a relationship because she's showing you who she is. So, and I know it sucks because we think that we don't have another shot with anybody else, so we'll accept anything. And I'm telling you, when you do that, A, you're not looking at your own self-worth and realizing that other women out there will date you. Because I know you're saying you have autism. Autistic people, I have friends that are autistic and they're in relationships with people that respect them. Like, but more to the point is that if you're accepting of that, and then and if the woman can feel that you're not going to leave her if she treats you bad or steps out on you, then they're never going to have respect for you, and it's going to be a bad relationship. He says, also she's pregnant and doesn't want to get an abortion. I'm screwed. I'm sorry to hear that. At this point, it is what it is. Ideally for future people, you'll know to either wear protection or to not get in this scenario altogether when you're dating somebody, because these are lifelong things. Like, these are things now, with a baby in the way, like, you can't come back from that. That's gonna be like at least minimum 18 years of your life. But ideally, you can be cordial with the person. And sometimes women get in their feelings because when they get pregnancy and kids, it changes women. They get hormonal, they get extra protective, and it's all about feelings for them. I know so many guys that have gotten into relationships with women whereby they have a kid and then they want to legitimately be there for the kid, but the woman's so emotional that she's trying to hold the kid against the guy or uses the kid as a means to like threaten or make him do certain things. Like, it's not a fun place to be. So ideally, get your stuff as put together as you can. I'd say get a lawyer on deck, because if she's not the kid can get here, she can try to withhold the kid from you or do other things. So get your legal stuff in order before the kid's here, because it's worse when they get here, and figure out what the visitation is going to be like. If it's yours, also figure out if it's yours. Like, get a DNA test, because for all we know, if she's calling you ugly or whatnot, she could be cheating on you and getting pregnant and then trying to make you take care of it. So don't let her try to be like, well, you should trust me, blah, blah. No, get the DNA test, because dude, I still watch Maury. I watch Maury reruns. I was a big fan of Maury Povich. The number of dudes that were going that show thinking that they were the father and they were not is astronomical. So get that stuff checked, Delicious. Anyway, guys, this has been great. I got other stuff to do. I got to prepare for the rest of my day. I got to finish eating this. I got other places to go today. So thanks for watching. I do this show regularly on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock. So be sure to check out the show at Tuesday at 5 o'clock. I just did one this past week. You can go check out my YouTube channel. And this has been great. I might do some more of these surprise streamings. I was making breakfast and wanted to do a show. So that's what I did. So thank you guys for watching. And be sure to go to the website. The website is introvertdatingsuccess.com. I got my new book out now called Stop Losing Women, The Ultimate Guide to Dating the Women of Your Dreams. Thanks to guys that have bought it so far. But go there. You can check out free samples. If you like the free samples in the book, you'll definitely like the book itself. But check that out and other things there as well. And I will catch you guys on the next episode. I'm out. Peace.
Call this beat Will Smith, cause it slaps hard. Hear it not when I pull up on your boulevard. Ain't got no rims spinning, ain't got no chain blinging, but I got money, you can tell by